All right. Welcome, guys, to Tiger Talk Tuesday. And we've got the amazing Jeff LoVecchio in the house. This is episode 25 already. We just started these in the last few months, and so many amazing athletes are coming forward. He grew up playing hockey in St. Louis at a time when the best hockey cities laughed basically at them for trying to compete with them. Through hard work, dedication, and self-discipline, he willed himself to a Division I scholarship at Western Michigan University. So thank you for being here. I'm going to give them a little bit more of your background, and then I'm going to dive into all things with you, Jeff. But he said he willed himself into his scholarship because he never had the most innate ability, which I think is pretty awesome because I talk all about mindset. He made up for his lack of natural skill with 100% commitment to maximizing his potential. Now, he played 3 years at WMU. He signed, and then he signed with the Boston Bruins. And although he never got to play in a regular season game, he did play in 7 NHL preseason games with the Bruins. And he was on the roster for playoffs. I am going to list his entire bio. It goes on. He ended up traveling the world playing hockey. And then it led to the company that he has now, but I will let you tell him all about it. I will post his bio. You guys can read it with all the social links, but welcome, Jeff, to the call.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's go back to willing yourself into a scholarship. I mean, all things mindset. I always say that to athletes that I'm talking to. I'm like, you don't have to be the most. It's not about being the flashiest player. Every team is looking for something different. So tell us about how you did that and where your headspace was at to go after that goal.
Well, I was lucky. I got cut when I was younger. I think probably twice. And
You were
it
lucky.
yeah, because if I didn't get cut back then, I wouldn't have like learned to like work to make the next team. And it just would have like become part of who I was, like that just became a thing. And my parents were always like, if you want something, like you got to find a way. Like it's up to you. Either you want this or you don't, and you'll find a way or you won't. And if you don't care about it, you're definitely not going to find a way, And my dad's only advice to me my whole life, my whole career in hockey, and even now in entrepreneurship, he's an entrepreneur. Hard work, patience, more hard work. Like that. That's just that. Literally, that was his
I
only
love that.
advice to me. Whether I was a kid, I was in juniors, college, pro, doesn't matter. Hard work, patience, more hard work, and so that's just kind of how I've done things. And every level I'd go up, it'd be like an adjustment for me. I'd have to like outwork everybody, be there early, stay late, like that kind of life. And I always did that. And it allowed me to play 10 years professionally and get a scholarship and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that says a lot about. So I'm very passionate about like self leadership and self reliance and self trust, and it is amazing that the fact that you did get cut and that just propelled you forward. Like you kind of think, where would I be if that didn't happen? And you were also, I noticed you were captain as a sophomore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I wasn't kidding. Like I had to outwork everybody, and I did. And
Yeah,
that was just and on top of that too, like something I love doing is I loved bringing everybody else on my team up with me. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go out there and do extra on my own and not let anybody else come with me. It was like I'm making guys come with me, and I'm making them push themselves harder. Which then made me push myself even harder, And so it's just like a continuous circle, and that's just how I played my whole career. I loved helping everybody on the team, but especially younger guys on any team I was on, especially like as I got to be an older pro, over in Europe and stuff like that. I loved like helping the younger players out with just things that I had learned along the way and wish somebody would have told me sooner so I could have got better faster.
so well, what are those few, like if you could pick your top 3 things of what you wish somebody told you sooner?
Like regarding specifically hockey or life?
Ooh, that's a good one, both.
um, I don't know. I guess hockey, like watch hockey as much as you can. Become a student of the game. Everybody says it, but like I watched a little bit of hockey. I didn't watch enough. Looking back, like I focused on like actually physically outworking everyone all the time, in the gym, in practice, things like that, in games. But I wish I didn't become more of a cerebral player and like really love like nerding out on like little details of hockey until I was already like probably like 4 years into my pro career. Then I like became obsessed with it and I loved it. And if you look at my numbers over in Europe, like I started scoring way more goals in pro. So that, that's probably the biggest piece of advice I'd give anybody. Life, I don't know, like, do stuff for free when you're starting out. Like, don't have an ego. Don't think that you're worth, you got to be able to reflect and like know what you're bringing to the table, and like know that you bring value. But like, also, if you haven't established yourself in something yet, like nobody knows your value. So you might have to do things for free. You might have to, work weekends to
Yeah.
build my business to what it is. When I retired after my 10th year pro, I started it after my third year, after probably like my 11th concussion, I think it was. And I was like, if I get another one, I'll probably be done. So I wanted to start helping kids out in St. Louis, and I started with 2 athletes. And the next year, I can't remember what I had the second year, if it was like 6 or something, and then it was like 13, and the next it was like 33, and then the fifth year, I think it was 100, over 100. And my last year before I went over to Austria, I trained over 300 players that summer,
That's
in
incredible.
person. And that's on top of me training myself. And I had pro athletes paying just to work out next to me.
Yeah.
And so like, it was 7 days a week. I got to the start of the season, I was absolutely gassed, but it set myself up for after that year. I walked into a pretty good business because I did stuff that other guys didn't want to do while they were still playing, and I built a pretty good business right away to step into.
Yeah, well, and I love that, because this whole thing is about transitioning to life after sports. And a lot of the times when I'm talking to younger athletes too, it's like hockey or whatever your sport is, it's what you do, it's not who you are. So what else are you interested, what are you good at? But did somebody kind of direct you in this direction so that you kind of had that thing to fall back on when you were done hockey, or was this just something you were just so passionate about? I mean, you can feel when I watch your videos, you're so your energy is, I can feel it. I'm sitting over here in Canada, and I can feel your Instagram videos over from here. And you can tell, even when you talk about pulling up your teammates and that, you can tell it translates into everything you do. You're wildly passionate, which is very important when you like something. But I can feel that. But did somebody guide you in that direction, or you was just like, you know what, I've had some concussions? Were you thinking of that while you were playing, or
Well,
how'd you get down that
my
path?
my pro career, it I had a massive speed bump right when it started. So I finished my junior year at Western Michigan, and I was a free agent. I signed with the Bruins, went and played in the AHL. Like I think I was on a plane the next day, and they were the number one team in the AHL. They actually set a record for regular season wins that year. And so I played like 13 or 14 regular season games. I was there for like, a month and a half, 2 months of the regular season. And I actually broke my wrist the last game before playoffs, hitting a guy. Came back the second and third round, I think it was. And I played all the games with a cast on, could barely move. But I get home that summer, and it was going into my first real year of pro, my first real year of my NHL contract with Boston. And had my wrist looked at, wound up. I had tore cartilage when I hit that guy. So I didn't skate for a couple months. And the first time skating that summer, it was like end of June, right before dev camp. I fell into the boards going full speed, and I was unconscious. I wound up missing. I didn't play hockey from the season before at the end in the AHL until I missed the whole next preseason, season, playoffs, summer, and then I played again the next September in the NHL rookie camp with the Bruins. So I missed like a year and a half of playing hockey. Thought I was never going to play again. So I came back, and I was healthy. And I did well, like in 7 preseason games in the show. I think I had 2 goals, assists, a fight. I hit a guy through the glass, but I kept getting concussions.
Oh, no.
So I knew that I wasn't going to play in the NHL after like 2 or 3 years of being in the AHL and getting more concussions. So I was like, okay, like hockey, I'm not going to make the money I need to make to sustain my life.
Yeah.
And the only thing I liked and loved more than or as much as hockey was training for hockey.
Yeah.
And I developed a passion, and just every summer I'd come home and I'd skate with the younger kids and teach them what I was learning on the ice, off the ice, everything like that. So it just made sense for me to do that as well in the gym. And it started just kind of like, oh, like we'll see how this goes. And then by like year 3, I'm training like 33 people, and and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And so I'm very big on introspection and reflection. And
Yeah.
you've had, from the injury standpoint, you had a lot of time with yourself. I mean, with all my athletic endeavors, I was able to muscle my way through life until I hit breast cancer. And that was the biggest blessing for me. Was breast cancer was the ability to introspect and like journals upon journal upon journal. Did that really send you down that path of reflection? I mean, you seem like you're pretty intuitive. It seems like you had a great support system from your parents growing up. You know, they're not coddling you in any way. They're saying, you know, patience and do more, or whatever your dad said. What do you say? Keep working, and patience and keep working. What was that reflection like for you? Did you find that developed your mindset even more so having that time? Or
Well, for me to even earn a scholarship to play Division 1, like I was a good player, but like again, I had to outwork everyone all the time, like all the time. The only reason I was able to stay in the USHL was like after my first year of not doing well was because I just outworked everyone. And so like I was not going to be denied, even though these guys had more talent than me. I just didn't have a lot of like natural hockey sense. And that's a problem. The higher levels of hockey you get,
yeah, just a little.
It winds up being a pretty big problem. And I played my head down a lot, but I had these physical attributes that I had to earn, like every single day I had to earn. And so when I learned after my first year of juniors, I trained so hard that summer and I came back and then I started like dominating guys that were way better than me. And I was like, oh man, okay. So working out leveled me up a whole lot. Then I got into nutrition that year, my second year of juniors. That leveled me up a whole lot. Then I got into sleep. Then I got into, recovery and supplementation. And then I got into, yoga and mindfulness and meditation. And I just realized that, okay, like every level, and then college guys are even better. And then I signed pro, guys are way better. And I just learned, okay, for me to not only to stay at these levels, but for me to try and thrive and do the things that I want to accomplish, I have to get an edge from every single possible alley that I can to be the best I can be. And so it was actually just self-preservation that forced me into all of these things. But then I just learned through my training company that, holy shit, when I help guys who are younger than me that are better than me skill wise, if I can help them learn to love finding all these alleys and learn to love getting 1% from everywhere, and then, it's going to take them to wherever they want to be, whatever that means. That's why I've been able to have the impact I've been able to have, for the last, 10 to 15 years of my company.
Honestly, that's my whole message with my TED Talk was life's currency is showing up. And it's not showing up physically. It's when you take care of your shit, your family benefits, your community benefits, your teammates benefit. Imagine if everybody's firing on all cylinders, right? So that's what I hear when you're telling me all those things. It's like you're taking care of your health, you're taking care of your sleep, you're taking care of your water, doing everything. And that's when your gifts are really revealed to the world. So that's awesome. What I noticed so you started your business, and then it seems like it was because it said 2020. It seems like through COVID, that's when you started your online platform.
Yeah, I had been training pro athletes online, like old school way, PDF and I guess not so old school, just sending random YouTube links for probably like, I don't know, probably like 5 or 6 years. But then COVID hit, and I like, me trying to outwork everyone. I was like 2 months before that, I was like, okay, for my goals and how many people I want to help with the way I train and stuff, I need to start putting things online for cheap, because not everybody can afford to come see me. And I don't even charge that. I charge nowhere near what I should, but, and people who don't live in St. Louis can't ever train with me. So I was like, I got to start training people online. And I hadn't wanted to do that for like years, because I was like, no, like I only want to do it in person, because like I can really help people with every little detail. But then I was like, that's stupid. There's so many of these idiots on Instagram who don't know what they're talking about, selling programs, and it's a joke. And people are literally getting worse because of these programs. I was like, so I can do that.
No.
So I 2 weeks before COVID shut everything down, I went in my gym and I filmed 50 videos with my buddy who's a videographer. And COVID happened, and I had just started like learning how to use an online platform. It's called Train Heroic. And so I was like, oh man, if everything's shut down for 2 weeks, all my guys can get a jump start on everybody else just chilling. So I took 3 days. I think I slept like 2 hours over the course of 3 days. I'm technologically embarrassing. I'm illiterate when it comes to computers. And I figured out how to make this whole program. And And so I sold it for only $25 a piece. And then I gave away thousands because especially in Canada, they weren't able to use a gym for like 2 years. It was a joke. So I had people telling me my parents can't work. I can't go to a gym. We were not bringing any money in. We can't afford a program. So I was sending them all the time. But that first month I made $10,000 online, and I'm like literally when I'm not, it was $25. So like I sold a lot of them, but
Yeah.
like I'm embarrassing when it comes to computers. So like I learned in the crash course of 3 days, and from there on I was like, man, I can help so many hockey players
Yeah.
and people if I start like trying at this. And so now it's been, 3.5 years about of being online, and it's definitely changed my life.
Yeah, well, I mean, the leverage piece, unfortunately, well, I was thinking about that because I was watching a lot of the stuff that you do. And I mean, unfortunately, there's only 24 hours in a day. You've got a family,
Yeah.
and it is hard. And obviously, I can understand why you like the in-person stuff though, because again, I have big energy as well, and it's hard to recreate that, but you realize that at some point you got to go, well, I mean, your success is fantastic. And again, I love your give more, be more. And you're leading that way as well. Now I wanted to go back. I was reading in your bio. You were talking about living in places and having those different values and societal norms than what you were accustomed to were instrumental in your development as a person. What were some of your biggest lessons that you learned from that?
Well, I played in Japan for 2 seasons, and I also played in the Austrian league for 2 seasons as well. But my team was right outside of Budapest in Hungary, and both of not Budapest, not so much, but like the city that I lived in specifically, and the city that I lived in Japan, there was barely any English speakers. Actually, when I played in Japan, they only have 3 imports per team, so it's like hard to get into that league. It's a lot of
Yeah.
guys who played NHL games and stuff. We had an interpreter who would be on the ice with us. He wasn't a hockey player, but he put skates on. And so if guy in between shifts, like if our line mates had to say something to us, the Gaijins, the imports, if it was a guy who didn't speak like very good English, which was most of them, he'd be like Konami, Konami, and you'd be translating through them. But like I didn't like that. I want to be able to communicate with my teammates. So I learned enough Japanese or enough Italian or enough Norwegian or enough German or enough whatever a city I was playing in Hungarian. And then like I just got really good at like reading people and what they were trying to do, even though I couldn't understand the words coming out of their mouth. I had to like, get really good at this like body language thing. And that's just made me a way better coach. And it's allowed me to, I don't know, be more empathetic, sympathetic to people, read people's energy better, because I was forced to kind of do that for so many years. And that obviously helps in entrepreneurship and business and coaching, in person. Like I want to, guys walk in the gym and like, I'm watching every single guy. I'm like, I know if a guy's walking differently, something's going on. And before the session starts, I can go over, yo, what's going on? Like, so I can get them in the right headspace, get them, grounded, get them here so that they get the most out of this session. And then they can go back to whatever is going on in their life after.
And do you I mean, I can hear your coaching and your videos and stuff like that. And I love your approach to everything. Do you do a lot of mindset work with your athletes? Like I know you're doing a lot of the other stuff, but do you do a lot of mindset?
I wouldn't say a lot, but like, I mean, I constantly am talking to them about like how important it is and like different references and different apps and all this stuff before every single session. I make the guys lay on the ground and we do like 2 to 3 minutes of I will statements. I'm big into like the power of the words you speak. I don't let anybody say anything negative about themselves in my gym. But we start with I will statements. That's our goals for the season. And then about a minute and a half, sometimes 2 minutes of visualization, them running through the things that they do in their game and their position on the ice, seeing it over and over, little things, big things, all the above, seeing them achieve their goals that they just said, I will this season. It also sets their intentions for the workout too. Something that I found is a massive differentiator is getting people to state why they're in the gym that day. Why am I in here? Why did I come here? Why did I get up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. to come here and get murdered in this gym, right? Why am I here? And if, it's because I want to, turn pro at the end of this season. And they say that to themselves. And now they're present. Now they're going to get everything out of that session. And it seems like such a little thing. But as you know, somebody who's into mindset's not a little thing.
No.
And the higher levels you go, the separators are these little teeny tiny little things. And so the more things that I can help them be better with, the better chances they'll have to reach their goals.
Well, exactly. Confidence is built by showing up, right? And it doesn't happen at the beginning. It develops along the way. And then your belief and your belief. And that's what I feel from you. There's a very strong connection to yourself. And that makes you confident. And you can tell your shit when you're talking, and you're a living, breathing testament to what you're telling these other athletes to do. So they're so lucky to have you. I was so happy one of my other athletes had put me onto your Instagram page. And then I found out apparently everybody else already follows you. And I was like, oh, well, I love it. So I really appreciate you taking the time. Now, for anyone, one last question before we kind of do some final thoughts, where along your journey, I mean, nobody is, I wish it was possible, but nobody is, what's the word I'm looking for? We all have suffering. We all have to go through those darker days or whatever. Is there an experience or a time where you kind of felt really lost, or because you're so resourceful, and I find, and you study, because you don't like to not know something. Just in the few seconds that I've this conversation, what did you do during those transitions for yourself when you ever caught yourself feeling down? Was it like, oh, I just got to get a workout and get clear in my head? Or what are the things for some athlete that's struggling right now that might be watching, and they're not feeling in alignment with who they are, or they've been injured and they can't go on for whatever reason? What would be your advice to them based on your experience?
Yeah, I mean, this is first of all, find mentors. Mentors are everything. Absolutely everything. And you want to talk to people who've been where you want to go, been around the places that you want to be, like that type of thing, because they can give you actual concrete examples of what they've seen at these places or at these levels, or how they got there. Doesn't mean you'll take the same path or do the same things, but it'll shed a light on like the kind of things that you need to do, you need to be, how you need to act, all those types of things to get to those levels. So number one for me is like mentorship. And that's actually during the hockey season. That's something I do. I don't do it in the summer because I work like 14-hour days, 7 days a week, 6 days a week. But I put on my Instagram, like anybody can sign up for a call for me. It's only $100. And I do these calls all season long. And it's funny because there are like some younger players, but it's usually pros, college and junior players who are in a slump who call me. And I wish that I would have started when I started doing it 2 years ago. I wish I would have like actually counted how many guys scored the next night after they talked to me.
Yes.
It's like legitimately, it's over 75%, which is crazy. Guys will call me, they haven't scored in 20 games. And I just go over like, hey, this really helped me. Try this. I just give them a bunch of ideas. Try this, and then some mindset stuff about getting out of their own head and not gripping the stick tight, and how you go about actually doing that.
Yeah.
So mentorship would be the first one. And the second one is like, I read this book last year that a buddy gave me, and I've actually just like lived this way. Just, I don't know when it started, but the book just helped like revamp it in my mind to like be that much more diligent with doing it. It's called RSF, Relentless Solutions Focus. It's an unbelievable book. It's by the sports psychologist who worked with the Cardinals. Actually, this guy's from St. Louis. I need to get a lunch with him. I've never met him. And basically, when you have something bad happen or you have a problem come your way, you have 60 seconds to think about it. And then after that, you can't think about it. You can't let it bring you down. All you have to do is say, what is one thing I can do right now to make the situation better? Whether it's a little baby step or a big step, or you go a mile, you can't think like right now, action, right now. And basically the whole purpose of that is once you take that first step, whether no matter how small or big it is, you get momentum, and momentum is a magnifier. And it's like, I just say like, it's like that little snowball at the top of the mountain, and it's all of a sudden you're gaining momentum, and now you're moving, and now you find your groove, you're back running again. So for me, it's RSF. And the thing for me that I always did whenever I was down, like I just use exercise. I know a lot of people, and that could be a bad thing too, if you go crazy with it. But for me, a lot of people I knew would turn to drugs or alcohol during down times. And I just thought, well, that's not getting me. These are all the goals I've set. Drugs and alcohol, abusing them when I'm down, that gets me further from my goal. So like, why why would I do that? At least working out. Like I'm going to go murder myself in the gym. Well, I found out I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't
Yeah.
I got the emotions out and I got better. I got a step towards my goal because my goal was a physical one.
Yeah.
Right. So exercise has always been that for me.
Yeah. No, I love that. They're both great advice. RSF, who's the author?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah.
But it is, what did it stand for again? Did you say?
Relentless solutions focus.
Relentless solutions
Yeah.
focus. Yeah. I love that. Makes sense. Well, congrats on everything. I mean, I just love your story. I love, I'm a huge fan of an underdog too. And you end up with, signing with the Bruins. I mean, that says a lot about your mindset, your resiliency, your leadership to learn different languages and everything. That's wild. What a great experience. And now to see you pouring it on to all these younger athletes. I mean, I think that's what life's all about, giving back. I'm very passionate about that as well. So I appreciate you, Jeff, taking the time to be on. I know other athletes will get a lot from this chat. Any last words of wisdom? What would you give? Like, what advice would you give your younger self?
Well, I had a coach in juniors always say, and I say this to everyone, like I lived my life from the second he said it all the time, but the second he told us his story, like I was like, yeah, I have to live this way. He said, you never want to be the guy at 30, 35 years old, sitting in a bar somewhere, drinking, drowning in his sorrows. Like, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have done this. And like when I signed my NHL deal, I'd come home and I'd be at restaurants or a bar with the boys or whatever. And all, people that I played hockey with growing up would always come up to me and be like, oh, I wish I would have went to the gym with you before the party. I wish I would have got up on Saturday. I wish this. I wish I would have ate better when you told us to. And it was just, I wish. And I was like, yeah, but you fucking did it. And I always did, And so like, so now I just love giving that message to everyone. Like, if you have a goal, like go at it, literally everything you have, empty the tank. Because what I've learned is all my friends or all these people now that I'm friends with who lived that way, even if they didn't achieve that ultimate goal. I mean, I'm not sitting here retired with 50 sheets in the bank after playing, 15 years in the NHL. That would have been great. One of my line mates growing up, he's about to do that, but I didn't. Right. But I have this great life because I lived that way. I have a podcast. I have a pretty big podcast in the hockey world. It's well over 1 million downloads. It's called the Hockey Think Tank Podcast. So I have that. I've got my training company. I've got my online company. I was just married a month ago to.
Congratulations. She's a hottie. I saw a picture. I was like, well, that's a great catch.
She slid into my DMs. Not a big deal.
She slipped into your DMs. Is that what you said?
Yeah, she slid into my DMs on the gram when I didn't even have a following. So, I'm pretty proud of that. But yeah, but like I didn't quote unquote like achieve my ultimate goals of, only playing in the NHL and retiring and only playing hockey. But I have this unbelievable life and it just keeps getting better because I lived that way.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that if anybody goes 100% at whatever their passion is, even if they fall short, if they truly go 100 at it, all of these other doors are going to wind up opening for them. Their life will be so much different.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm experiencing that myself. I started my Tiger method back in 2010, but I was only consistent after breast cancer because I was like, enough of this inconsistency. And you seem like you're extremely consistent. Would you say your routine is very?
Yeah. I'm not as consistent now with like my own personal like routines that I had like when I was playing, but that's because like you said earlier, there's only 24 hours in a day and I work a lot of them and I work physically extremely demanding. And something that I've learned, I used to get sick a lot in the summers when I would train and then train guys all day because I would give 100 to my training and then I would give 100 to my guys and I had 0 left every night and it was just too much. So, I literally have to put my own training, my own working out, which is like the most fun thing I do. It's what I love. It's where I experiment trying new things and all this stuff. For my clients, like I have to put that on the back burner for like 3 straight months a year where I just get in whatever I can because, I've learned I had to be smarter. Like I was going to kill myself if I kept trying to go 100 for myself and 100 for, 130 guys, 100 guys a day, whatever it is, depending on the day of the week. So, you get smarter with this stuff too. So yes, I am extremely diligent with my routines, but just those routines, they have to evolve and change depending on what my current goals are.
Oh, I love it. Well, you're a vibe. You're definitely a vibe.
I try to be.
I know. I love it. And all these athletes are so lucky to have you and for you to be able to share your gift with the world. So, I'm going to keep watching you, and I love sending your content to, my a world of athletes as well, because there's so, if you guys don't follow Jeff, you got to follow him. He's got some amazing stuff on there, and you shoot it straight, which I really appreciate. So thank you so much for the time and joining us on transitioning to life after sports. I think it's a very important topic for athletes, and this, I have a feeling this conversation will help many people, so I appreciate you being here.
Hell yeah. If anybody out there wants to reach out to me on Instagram, please, I try to answer all my DMs. I used to be able to. It's a little harder now, but I will get to them. So please,
Well, I
like,
wondered
seriously.
if you were going to be able to, because I have written some other athletes on Instagram, and I find sometimes it gets blocked. Like if you have too many followers, there you'll get a message that says like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I don't know how you even do that."
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess you can.
I'm not Mr. Important. I literally try to answer every single DM I get.
That's
It's
awesome.
increasingly tougher, but please, if you have anything, please DM me, and I'll try and help any way I can.
I love it. And when I do post this video, you will see all his contacts info. We'll make sure that we post that. And congrats on all your success. And I'm cheering you on from Canada.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.